Nearly $1 billion flows through Fiverr every single year. Not revenue, actual money paid to freelancers. 850 million, give or take, and the average buyer on the platform is now spending $342 a year. That's a 434% increase from what it was back in 2012. So if you still think Fiverr is a place where people pay $5 for a logo, you're about a decade behind. Now, I've made over $500,000 on the platform myself, and I've been freelancing for around 5 years. So I've watched this shift happen in real time. And what I'm going to break down for you today is where all that money is actually going, who's earning it, and probably more importantly, why most sellers never see any of it. Because the data on this is genuinely wild. And there's one stat towards the end of this video that completely changed how I think about pricing on Fiverr. So stick around for that. Right, so let's start with the numbers, because most people have absolutely no idea how big Fiverr actually is. Fiverr reported $430.9 million in total revenue for 2025. That's up over 10% year on year and their strongest growth since 2022. Revenue has gone up every single year since the company started. But here's what matters more than Fiverr's revenue: the gross merchandise value. The total amount of money that's moved through the platform has been above $1 billion annually since 2021. And after Fiverr takes their cut, roughly $850 to $900 million of that ends up in freelancers' pockets every year. Now, pay attention to this next bit, because this is the number that really puts things into perspective. The average buyer on Fiverr spends $342 per year on the platform. Back in 2012, that number was $64. So we've gone from $64 to $343 in just over a decade. And in 2025 specifically, that number grew 13.3%, the fastest rate since 2020. And the buyers spending over $500 a year, well, they now account for 64% of all marketplace revenue. The buyers spending over $10,000 a year grew by 7%. Projects over $1,000 grew nearly 23% in a single year. The maximum price for a single gig on Fiverr is now $20,000. And Fiverr's own CEO actually mentioned a $200,000 enterprise engagement with a book publishing company back in 2025. 200 grand on Fiverr. But that raises a pretty obvious question, right? If all this money is flowing through the platform, who's actually getting it? Okay, so this is where I need to be straight with you, because the income numbers on Fiverr are extreme. And I mean that in both directions. The most cited study on Fiverr seller income found that 70% of sellers earn less than $100 a month. 96.3% earn under $500 a month, and only 1% earn $2,000 or more per month, which works out to about 24 grand a year. The average monthly income? About $104. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would I bother then? But hear me out, because those numbers are seriously misleading, and I'll tell you exactly why. That data includes every single account ever created on Fiverr. Every person who signed up, listed one gig with a terrible description, got 0 orders, and gave up after 2 weeks. Every hobbyist, every abandoned profile. The denominator is massive. Fiverr had something like 830,000 active sellers as of 2019. But the number of people who've actually made an account is way, way higher than that. It's like saying the average person who buys a gym membership doesn't get fit. Well, yeah, because most of them stopped going after January. But the people who actually treated it like a business, their numbers tell a completely different story. Alex Fasulo, copywriter, started at $5 per blog post. By 2020, she was earning $378,000 a year, crossed $1 million in total lifetime earnings. She's been featured on CNBC multiple times, with over 4,800 completed orders. Joel Young, voiceover artist, started in 2013 with an iPhone and a $15 microphone from Amazon. Made $400 in his first month doing $5 gigs. His first year, he earned 35 grand and managed to pay off $50,000 in debt within 18 months. Total lifetime earnings on Fiverr? Over $1.5 million. And then there's me, video creator. Made $1,000 in my first month. Started averaging 5 to 8K per month in 2021 and 2022 until I expanded to build an editing team. Last month, I had a confirmed Fiverr earnings of 21K and a total overall revenue of over $30,000, all from just creating talking head videos for clients. Now, I'm not telling you these stories for you now to just go off and think you're going to become a Fiverr millionaire overnight. I'm telling you because the gap between I gave up after a week and I treated this seriously is enormous, and the data proves it. Right, so before we go any further, we need to talk about what Fiverr actually takes, because this is something a lot of new sellers don't fully understand until it hits their first payout. Sellers pay a flat 20% commission on every single transaction. That includes tips, by the way. So if a buyer pays you $100, you're getting 80. Buyers also pay a service fee on top, 5.5% on orders over $100 or a flat $3 fee on smaller orders. So for every $100 a buyer spends, Fiverr captures roughly $28 across all their fees. The seller gets $80. And this is the part that surprises most people. That 20% fee is nearly double what Upwork charges. Upwork's effective rate is about 12 to 13%. Freelancer.com is around 10%. Fiverr's take is the highest commission in the entire freelance marketplace industry. So why do people still use it? Well, because Fiverr drives 50 to 66 million monthly website visits. You don't have to go looking for clients. They come to you. That 20% is essentially a marketing fee. And if your gig ranks well, orders come in without you having to pitch or chase anyone. On Upwork, you're spending money on connects, which are basically credits that you have to buy just to apply for jobs. On Fiverr, listing is free, and if your gig performs, buyers find you. But knowing the fees is one thing. Knowing how to actually progress on the platform, well, that's what separates the sellers who are stuck at $5 orders from the ones pulling in thousands a month. And the seller level system tells you exactly what that progression looks like. Now, Fiverr completely revamped their seller level system in 2024 and 2025, and the requirements are actually really useful as a roadmap for what success looks like at each stage. To hit level 1, you need 60 active days as a seller, 5 completed orders, 3 unique clients, $400 in total earnings, and a 4.4 rating, and an 80% response rate. That's genuinely achievable within your first couple of months if you're putting the work in. Level 2 bumps that up. 120 days, 20 orders, 10 unique clients, $2,000 in earnings, 4.6 rating, 90% response rate. And then top rated. This is where things get interesting. Same 120 days, but 40 orders, 20 unique clients, and $10,000 in total earnings, plus a 4.7 rating and a 90% response rate. And unlike the other levels, top rated doesn't happen automatically. Fiverr's team manually reviews your account. They look at your work quality, your communication, and your professionalism. Okay, so we've covered the money, the fees, the levels, but there's one topic that everyone asks about, and honestly, the answer is probably different to what you're expecting. So, the big question, is AI going to kill Fiverr? Short answer, no. Longer answer, it's way more complicated than either side wants to admit. 63% of Fiverr freelancers now use generative AI tools. ChatGPT adoption among sellers is at 88%. So the vast majority of freelancers on the platform are already using this stuff. But here's what's actually happening, and the numbers on this are properly mad. Searches for AI agent development on Fiverr shot up over 18,000% in spring 2025. Go high-level automation services grew nearly 1,500%. Make.com automation grew over 1,000%. And this is my favorite one. Searches for humanized AI content grew 641%. That's people specifically hiring freelancers to make AI-generated text sound like a human wrote it. One freelancer quoted in Fiverr's own report said something along the lines of, "I thought AI would make my copywriting services redundant, but now I get daily requests to edit AI written copy so it sounds human." And this connects to something Fiverr's CEO said that I think is worth paying attention to. In an internal email that got leaked, he said AI is coming for all of our jobs, including his own. But then he followed it up with, "Are we doomed? Not all of us." And on an earnings call, he pointed out that hundreds of service categories have gone extinct on Fiverr over the years, but hundreds of new ones have emerged because of new technologies. And the data backs this up. Projects over $1,000 grew nearly 23% in 2025. Low-end, simple tasks such as basic article writing, template logos, those have shrunk, but complex, high-value work is growing faster than ever. Fiverr Neo, their AI matching system, tripled order conversion rates. Fiverr Go, which lets freelancers train personal AI models on their own work, drove a 50% increase in client conversions. So, it's a platform in transformation for sure. Some categories are getting squeezed, but the sellers who are adapting, they're earning more, not less. And that brings me to the bit I mentioned at the start. The stat that changed how I think about all of this. Okay, so here's the thing. Fiverr's active buyer count has actually dropped from 4.3 million at its peak in 2022 down to 3.1 million by the end of 2025. That's a 28% decline on buyers. And on paper, that looks pretty terrible. But Fiverr did that on purpose. They're deliberately shredding low-value, one-time buyers and focusing on higher spending ones. And 67% of their revenue comes from repeat buyers. So the people who stay spend more, a lot more. And this is the stat that I was talking about earlier, the one that reframed everything for me. Fiverr has over 4 times more active buyers than Upwork, but Upwork's clients spend 16 times more per year, $4,815 versus $342. So there's this enormous gap between where Fiverr buyers are now and where they could go. The platform is actively pushing upmarket. The buyers spending over 10 grand a year are growing, and the projects over 1,000 are the fastest growing segment right now. So what does this actually mean for you? Someone who's either starting out or trying to grow on the platform yourself. Well, the startup cost is zero, literally nothing. No inventory, no storefront, no ad budget. The buyer pool is still 3.1 million people spending collectively over $1 billion a year. New features like seller subscriptions give you recurring monthly revenue. Hourly billing lets you build ongoing consulting relationships. And the compound effort of reviews means every completed order makes the next one easier to get. But, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this, the first 90 days are brutal. Most sellers quit before their gig gets any algorithmic traction. The income distribution is extreme, and Fiverr is moving away from cheap, simple tasks toward complex, specialized work. The sellers who are going to do well from here are the ones offering premium services, Using AI to work smarter and treating this like an actual business, not the side thing that they check maybe once a week. So that's the real picture. Nearly $1 billion flow into freelancers every year. Average buyer spend up 434% in a decade. Projects over $1,000 growing faster than anything else on the platform, and proven examples of people going from literally nothing to full-time income and beyond. Now, getting set up on Fiverr is one thing, but actually getting your first consistent orders, that's a completely different challenge. And if that's where you're stuck right now, then check out the link in the description for the Ultimate Fiverr course. It's 6 modules, 24 videos, taking you through every single step of how to create and optimize your Fiverr gigs correctly in order to get your first clients, as well as a ton of other free resources and guides that you can find down there as well. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.